A few months ago, Nikon announced the new Nikon DF camera, which is a retro-style DSLR-bodied camera. And I wrote an article called "The Nikon DF Camera Represents Everything Wrong with Photography." I simply was saying that a lot of people into fashion are probably going to buy this, not for the functionality, but just because it looks cool. So when I wrote this article, it actually got 355 comments, and about half of them were really, really angry at me. And I have some of the best comments here written down. This one's a little angry. But I urge everyone to relentlessly and aggressively attack writers who attack people based on the things that they like. Writers like Lee Morris. No matter how relevant your article is, no matter what you post in bold type trying to backpedal, any validity you may have had was lost when you decided to be a douchebag. So as you can see, people feel very strongly about this camera, one way or the other. And I was very clear in my article that I actually may enjoy this camera. I actually might buy this camera. But I finally have one, and we're gonna take this out and we're going to review it today. But I don't really feel like I'm dressed appropriately, so let me get ready. We're gonna go out downtown and we're gonna shoot this thing in the real world and see how it performs. Now that I'm ready, let's head downtown. We're gonna do some test shots and interview people and see what they have to say about this new camera. Let's go. The nice thing is when you're on a ride like this, it doesn't go very fast. You don't want to be weighed down, and the Nikon DF is relatively small, lightweight, so I can go up these hills at approximately 25 miles an hour. Now the way Nikon's marketing this camera, they say that it'll slow you down, you know, with all the mechanical dials and everything. It's not very easy to quickly take pictures, and I like that because everybody's in such a hurry these days. I like to slow down and just, you know, be a little bit more artistic. As I drove across one of the largest highways in South Carolina, I noticed that everybody was staring at me. I think they really like the look of my camera. Every time I drive by somebody, they're just staring at me. I could tell this camera was going to be a huge hit. It might even help me make some new friends. What's your name?
Sarah Ann, what's yours?
Sarah Ann, I'm Lee. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Good to meet you. I then decided to take a seat in my favorite community garden and talk about the details of this camera. The first thing that you're gonna notice when you take this thing out of the box is that it is built really well. I love the fact that this thing is completely made out of metal here, and it feels like one of the old film cameras. Now that being said, it comes with this trendy 50mm 1.8 that looks vintage but is not. It has a fake aperture ring around it that does not spin, it doesn't do anything, and if you want to change the aperture, you have to use the digital aperture button on the back of the camera. Now when I first heard about this camera and I saw the pictures of it, I thought it was going to be a travel camera. I thought it was going to be like the Fuji or it's going to be like the Leica, but it's not that. This is a D600. It is the exact same size as a D600, but you have lost the actual grip on the bottom here, so it's not as comfortable as a D600. And so anybody who said that they were going to buy this so that they could take it on vacation or travel with it because it was smaller and lighter, it's just not the case. It's very heavy and it's very big. But what do I know? I'm just a professional photographer that's used every single pro DSLR Nikon's ever made. Let's go into town and see what the public thinks about this camera. What are your first impressions of these two cameras?
I like the looks of this one better, I think. I like
the metal look to it.
I like this one a lot better just because it kind of has like a vintagey feel to it.
Which camera do you guys like best?
That one.
That one. This one. That is the Nikon DF.
This one, I think I like this one better.
First of all, are you guys photographers at all?
No. Not really.
Not really.
iPhone photographers?
iPhone photography, that's fine, that's fine. That's art these days.
I just like how this one looks.
You just like how that one looks.
How about that?
So I would assume you are College of Charleston students,
Yes,
is that
we are.
correct?
That is correct.
Fashion doesn't seem to be a priority in your life. Which one is your favorite and why?
I think that one.
Too.
Yeah, I think that one looks cooler because it has some silver.
What do you think?
I like the way this one looks the best.
Oh, I kind of like this. I feel like every other camera on the market looks something like that.
I'll go the one left.
You like this one. Everybody here likes that one.
But I think I do like,
prefer-
I
the
do prefer
hipsters.
this one. I just
They
like
like
the
that
way,
old looking
I like
shit.
the chrome look. And just for me, you know, a completely ignorant person for photography, I'd go for that the way it looks.
I finally ran across another true artist like myself, and I asked him what he thought about these two cameras. Alright, so out of these two cameras here, which one, I know you're probably not a professional photographer, but which one of these two is your favorite? From what you can see right here.
I like the one with the silver on it
Why is that?
because it's shiny.
Because it's shiny. And is there a certain reason that you like shiny things, or
Because I'm American.
because you're American? I love that. I love that a lot. Would you say this is a communist camera here?
More just establishmentarianist.
People that are like governments taking over and everything, they're the
Right.
ones that are going to be using this one.
Right.
But what type of person would use
That's
this?
like hiding in the bushes, conspiracy theory type, you know,
Hiding in the bushes. What type of person would use this?
families in the park.
Families in the park. But you too. You would use this camera too, though, right?
Yeah.
Are you a family in the park?
Yes.
Which camera is more fashionable?
I think this one's a lot more fashionable. That one just kind of looks more just practical and boring.
Why do you like the look of that one better?
I don't know. I feel like the all-black camera really reminds me of like the 90s. And I prefer this little, it seems more modern looking to me.
Interesting. So even though this is a retro camera,
It seems like it's come back around and modern again.
Like you're a very fashionable person. You're in the whole get up right now. Which camera would go best with your outfit?
This one.
Which camera would go best with my outfit?
This one.
Okay. And what type of person would use this camera?
What type of person?
Yeah, like if this person is somebody that's like got it going on.
More
this,
hipstery.
No, it's just somebody that can appreciate fashion. What type of person would take pictures with this camera?
Maybe just somebody who didn't care about,
Like a slob.
This looks a little outdated, honestly. It's all black on black.
So this one looks outdated,
Yeah, it looks a little outdated.
and this one looks new.
No, I see you with like a fanny pack, walking around, taking souvenir pictures with this.
You're right.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're telling me that guys that might be on vacation somewhere, you got it? Might be on vacation, they're at Disney World, they're gonna be using the
That's that camera.
D800.
That's the camera.
And
That's
then
family camera.
what's the type of person that owns this camera gonna be doing?
That's like professional photographer, like models.
Let's say the average customer that loves that camera goes out and buys it, and they want to go take a picture. What type of picture are they going to take with it?
Selfies, just kidding.
Selfie. A selfie.
Well, I gotta be honest, I would think that someone who's a bit of a novice is gonna buy this camera because it has about 10% of the buttons and knobs that this camera has. I think that
I'll switch with you, but I'm gonna say that one's the superior piece in my mind.
Okay, and why do you think that?
Sleek black look,
Yeah.
blends in at night if you need to take some sneaky pictures.
Right. So this is for like perverts.
That's for perverts,
If these cameras were used for two completely separate things, this one might be used for shooting like an indie band somewhere. What do you think you might shoot with this camera?
Like
I'm sorry? Humans, so this is for humans and this is for indie bands? I decided to put this theory to the test by photographing a real-life human with both cameras. We're comparing these two cameras today. I was wondering if I could take a picture of you, and then we're gonna see which camera is best. It'll only take just a second.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, just hold on to that camera right there. And I'm gonna use my iPhone here. All right, so pick the camera up just a little bit. There we go. And look over that way just a little bit. Good, but chin down a little bit more. I think the picture's okay, but it could probably be a little better. Yeah. So we'll put that one down, and now get you to hold the DF, okay?
Sure.
That's good. And just kind of look out this way. Yeah. I like this camera a lot. I think this one looks way better. Here's the first one that we shot here. Here's the second one. Which one do you think is best?
Well, I guess this one, but aren't you reviewing the cameras?
Yeah, we're reviewing the cameras. That's why we took two pictures, one camera in each picture.
But you don't want to use the camera?
No. After discovering that the DF was actually superior when it came to humans, I decided to sit down and talk a little bit about the camera's controls. You turn it to the 1/3 step setting on this knob, and then this front digital rotator knob becomes the thing that you will actually use to change the shutter speed. And this is kind of funny to me. So they have this knob on here and everybody loves the look of it, but I would assume that most professional photographers, the second they get this camera, they're gonna put it in manual, they're gonna set it to 1/3 step, and they're never going to use either of the dials on the right side of this camera. They're going to end up using the digital dials, which are the exact same as any other digital SLR. Another thing that's a little bit confusing, but you could get used to, is the fact that if you do set the camera into manual mode and you are using the actual mechanical shutter speed dial, you can then use the front digital dial here to fine tune the shutter speed. Now, if you start using some of the other modes on this camera, let's say you take it out of manual and you put it into aperture priority, all of a sudden this gets a little bit confusing, because when you flip it on and you start rotating the aperture, you might look down at your shutter speed dial and it's at 1/30th of a second, but then you have to look over to this small digital dial and it's going to be reading something completely different. So basically what I'm trying to say is this camera was made with mechanical physical dials, but you can override some of them with the old-fashioned or newer digital dials. And then in some cases, you can actually use both at the same time. You can use the mechanical and the digital. As somebody that's been using professional Nikon DSLRs for the last 10 years now, this is very different for me, and it slowed me down a lot today because I'm just not used to a camera with this layout at all. Probably a Banksy. Now, just because the camera slowed me down, that does not mean I didn't get some incredible images. Here I am stumbling upon some incredible street art. If you could play a song on saxophone that represented this camera, the communist camera, what would the song sound like? Yeah. And then what would this one sound like? How do you like my outfit?
How do you wear those? Where's the nut room?
There's not much, I gotta tell you, my friend.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, it's not comfortable. Which one of these cameras do you think I own? Because I actually own one of these cameras.
I mean, I would say this looks like it's more your style.
But based on, you know, just how I look and everything, which camera do you think I own? I own one of these cameras.
Right.
Now you were offensively fast.
This looks just like.
based on, you know, the moment that we've met each other here, which of these two cameras, I own one of these cameras, which one do you think I own?
I want to make a guess that you own this one.
I feel like
This camera fits me.
That fits you.
And why do you think that is? Like, if I was dressed like a particular genre of person, what am I dressed like right now?
A hipster.
Like
I don't really know how to explain.
vintage type.
That was
pop
offensive.
culture
Was that
type
offensive?
deal.
I'm sorry.
After being discriminated against, instead of going home and playing a song on my stand-up bass, I decided to have one of my favorite craft beers. By this point, I had worked up quite an appetite, and I needed a delicious vegan meal to refuel. Oh man, that was delicious. There's nothing like a good raw meal to just make you feel healthy inside.
Why don't you take a real inhale?
Oh my god. That was the first time I've ever actually inhaled smoke. I feel like I'm gonna barf. Now, obviously, almost everyone that I asked likes the looks of this camera better, including me. I'm not joking about that. I actually think this camera looks cool, and my D800 camera looks normal. It just looks bland. There's nothing to it. But the problem that I had with this camera when I wrote the post, and the problem that I still have with this camera, is that it's no longer what I would say a professional camera. I would say this is much more of a serious amateur camera. And if you're the type of person that was gonna go traveling and you have time to slow down and take pictures and really enjoy yourself, then this might be an excellent camera for you. But if you already own a D800 or you already own a D600 or Canon equivalent, I can't think of any reason why you would buy a slower camera that simply looks a little bit cooler, but is so much more complicated and slow to work with. Now, if this camera was competing with the Digital Rebel and this was like the 3200 or whatever Nikon's up to now, and instead of doing full frame D4 sensor, they do a 16 megapixel crop sensor, and this camera cost $700 and it was smaller in size, I think it would have the perfect market, because anybody who wanted to get into photography could get this thing. I probably would buy one and I would use it as a travel camera. But if you're looking to get a serious DSLR because you want to take serious pictures, I can't recommend this $3,000 camera over a D800. I would say just go with the D800. So there you have it. The Nikon DF is a fantastic camera and it takes great pictures. I'm just not exactly sure who this camera was made for. But at the end of the day, maybe the most important thing to remember is that the Nikon D800 is for hiding in the bushes, and the Nikon DF is for families in the park. Guys, thank you so much for watching this ridiculous Nikon DF review. If you like what you saw, head over to fstoppers.com. We're gonna have a lot more content like that all the time. So happy to get this. Do not pull my hair, slower. And if you're a professional photographer or you would like to be a professional photographer, check out fstoppersworkshops.com. We are doing the first ever Fstoppers workshop in the Bahamas this year with 10 of the top photographers. What is so funny?